But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
Baby, Rachel Zegler didn't just exit stage left, she bolted. Not metaphorically, not with some cute little PR breakup post, no baby. She hopped on a jet, crossed continents, and touched down in Dubai like she was running from the biggest storm of her life. No interviews, no explanations, no Instagram posts, just silence. And that silence? It screamed louder than any red carpet moment she's ever had. Because let's be real, what the hell is she running from? Just weeks ago, Rachel was everywhere. Press junkets, magazine covers, TikTok clips going viral left and right. She was the face of Disney's feminist reboot of Snow White, the fresh face, the new wave, the so-called modern princess who didn't need a prince, didn't need love, and sure as hell, didn't need approval from old school fans. She dragged the original 1937 classic through the mud, calling it outdated, saying the prince was creepy, mocking the whole true love vibe. And the world? Oh, the world took notice. Clips of her interviews spread like wildfire. Because when you slap a classic across the face, you better be ready for the smoke. The edits were savage. Internet sleuths started piecing together her most dismissive quotes and pairing them with clips from the original Snow White. The result? Instant viral chaos.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of
reaction videos, stitch after stitch, memes that devoured her. Even folks who couldn't care less about Disney were suddenly fuming, like she had insulted their grandma. Because she didn't just critique the story, people felt like she disrespected a legacy. And the backlash? It was unforgiving. Then, poof, gone, just like that. The timing was no accident either. Rachel's disappearance came right after a bombshell report hit the trades. Word on the street? Disney execs had held a private emergency meeting, and she was the topic. The flop of Snow White had executives pointing fingers, and the one they were pointing at hardest? Rachel Zegler. And then came the real earthquake. Disney might be coming after her for $120 million 0 cents. Yes, you read that right. $120 million 0 cents. A number so big it doesn't just end careers, it erases them.
Have they ever thought about maybe like a little bit of like, I don't know, vulnerability study, opposition research, that sort?
Suddenly, the once buzzing PR train came to a screeching halt. No statements, no denials, just silence. Deleted posts, cleared appearances, even flight tracking accounts picked up her departure, straight to the UAE. Now her team is calling it a break? Please. Fans, reporters, insiders, they're all calling it what it really is, a full-on escape. And honestly, who could blame her? Because the Snow White press tour, girl, it was a masterclass in what not to do. She didn't honor the original character. She mocked her. She didn't modernize the story. She blew it up like a demolition expert in a fairy tale war. There's this now infamous moment where she's wearing the actual Snow White gown and casually says, "Every hour I wear this outfit, I deserve to be paid." Baby, that clip alone had people ready to riot. And another viral line about how she should get royalties every time someone streams the movie? Like, excuse me? People didn't see a heroine, they saw entitlement. They saw someone biting the hand that was feeding her, and feeding her millions, and behind the scenes? Oh, you know Disney was panicking. Executives were pulling their hair out, they started canceling interviews, flying across the country to meet with her face to face, literally begging her to tone it down. To just stop tweeting, and to focus on promoting the film, not roasting the studio that hired her. But Rachel, she doubled down, one hot take after another. "I don't need your business if you disagree," she snapped in one sit down. And while some Gen Z fans cheered, most people just cringed. Disney's PR machine was sputtering like a broken lawnmower. And that's when it got embarrassing, because out of nowhere, Minecraft, that's right. A pixelated video game movie with literal blocks as characters came out. Critics laughed. Nobody expected it to work. But guess what? It crushed. The Minecraft movie obliterated Snow White's 3-week global box office in a single weekend. And it wasn't because it was high art. It was because it was fun. It didn't try to teach life lessons or rewire people's childhoods. It gave audiences what they wanted. Pure, silly, joyful nostalgia. And that right there was the final dagger. Snow White didn't fail because of the feminist twist. It failed because it lost its soul. It didn't feel like a fairy tale. It felt like a TED Talk. Critics didn't say it lacked polish, they said it lacked heart. And whether it's fair or not, Rachel Zegler became the face of that disaster. And now, the whispers inside Disney are turning into full-on war chants. Legal teams are allegedly combing through every inch of her contract. Can they claw back bonuses? Can they activate a morality clause? Can they sue? Some execs say yes, others are begging them not to, warning it could turn the Backlash into a lawsuit circuit. But the damage is done. People in suits are saying it loud. She blew up a billion-dollar brand with her own words. And then came the apology. Sort of. It was the kind of apology that made things worse, not better, because when Rachel Zegler's statement finally showed up online, it didn't feel like her. It didn't sound like her. It was cold, robotic, sterile, a corporate draft covered in legal fingerprint, like it had been written by some poor intern in Disney's PR basement, not a 22-year-old star who was supposedly heartbroken. Fans immediately dragged it to hell and back. Side-by-side comparisons popped up showing how similar it was to other infamous flop apologies, like when a brand messes up and just says, "We're sorry you felt that way." It didn't take long for Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit to crown it the worst PR apology of the decade. People didn't believe it. And that's the part that cut the deepest. They said it wasn't her voice, that it wasn't human, that it was a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. And just like that, the backlash reignited like a wildfire. Everyone from media analysts to ex-Disney employees came forward calling it a classic studio patch job. Designed to deflect, not heal, and what did it do? It made things so much worse. Behind the glittery facade, the reality was falling apart. Insiders whispered that Rachel was crumbling, crying backstage, ghosting even her own team, breaking down in meetings. The weight of the hate, the pressure, the consequences, everything was too much. A year ago, she was being hailed as Disney's golden girl, the Latina princess who was going to change the game. She had endorsement deals, future spinoffs, magazine covers booked for months. She was it. Now, she's gone silent. Her team, once the most aggressive PR squad in young Hollywood, suddenly seemed confused, split, fractured. Some advisors wanted her to fight back, to take control of the chaos, go live, tell her side, be raw, be real, own it, like a misunderstood Gen Z queen who didn't play by the rules. But others, they were begging her to disappear, retreat, let the storm pass, no interviews, no photos, not even an Instagram story, pull the plug, go dark for a year, maybe more. And Rachel, she chose the exit door. Or more accurately, a plane to Dubai, a city where no one's chasing her down for red carpet interview, where TMZ doesn't lurk at every Starbucks, where nobody's shouting, "Where's the prince?" from across the street. Just glass towers, golden sand, and one very quiet escape plan. Meanwhile, back in the US, Minecraft was eating, kids were dancing in the aisles, teenagers were throwing popcorn in the air. Some showings got so rowdy that actual police had to escort fans out of theaters. That's how lit it was. And the media, they lapped it up. They said Minecraft was fun, nostalgic, unexpected, and most of all, it didn't try to change the world. It just gave people a good time. It didn't lecture, it didn't shame, it didn't try to turn Gen Z into a brand. It just let people escape. And the contrast was blinding. Snow White wasn't just a flop, it became the poster child for everything people hate about modern reboots. The overcorrecting, the patronizing, the obsession with going viral instead of going timeless. And Rachel Zegler, whether fair or not, became the scapegoat for it all. And that's when Disney started asking a question no studio ever wants to say out loud. Can we get our money back? We're talking lawyers, clauses, damages. The $120 million 0 cents figure wasn't just pulled out of thin air. It was an actual internal estimate of how much they believe her interviews, her attitude, and her quotes may have cost them at the box office, in licensing, and in brand trust. Now, let's be very clear. This kind of thing never happens in public. Studios don't go after their own stars. It's a disaster waiting to happen. But this wasn't normal. There were whispers of invoking a morality clause. You know that little line in contracts that says if you damage the brand, we can come for you? Normally, that's for drug scandals, abuse, meltdowns, not hot takes about animated movies from the 30s. But here we are, because she didn't just flame out, she detonated. And remember that apology? Yeah, no one's buying it, not even her fans. Comment sections are brutal. Even major fan accounts that used to defend her are now deleting posts. The very people who once screamed, "Let her speak her truth," are now quietly unfollowing, muting, moving on. So what happens now? Well, Disney's in damage control mode. The Snow White franchise is on life support. Merch sales are tanking. Theme park tie-ins have been shelved. And internally, they're saying the words no one thought would ever be said. Do we recast Snow White? Yup, that's how bad it's gotten. But over in Dubai? Rachel Zegler is playing a different game. Sources say she's laying low in a private suite, completely offline, completely unreachable. No sightings, no leaks, just rumors, whispers, speculation, and a growing theory that she might just be done with Hollywood altogether. And the tragedy of it all, this could have been magic. It could have been the moment. A reintroduction of a fairy tale icon for a new generation. A love letter to evolution, but instead, it became a lesson in what happens when the message becomes more important than the movie. Disney didn't just lose money, they lost trust. Audiences didn't walk out because they hated change, they walked out because they didn't recognize what they loved anymore.